Hello, good morning to all. I am Khaja Asifullah, lecturer in chemistry from Government Degree College, Palaknuma, Hyderabad. Today, I present a lesson on photochemistry. It is the third lesson of photochemistry, in which we will discuss about the quantum efficiency or quantum yield. It is nothing but the reaction which is taking place. In every reaction, we get the product from reactants. So it is nothing but the efficiency of reaction, because we are dealing in this with the photochemical reaction. So it is the efficiency of that photochemical reaction, or it is nothing but the yield. It is generally represented by phi. So before that, we have to understand few things. According to Einstein's law of photochemical equivalence, every reacting molecule absorbs one quantum of radiations, and thus the number of reacting molecules should be equal to the number of quanta absorbed, because according to that law, every molecule will absorb one quanta of radiations or light. However, it is not found to be true in all cases, and in number of cases it has been observed that, number one, a small amount of light absorbed can bring about a large amount of reaction. Means it is in those cases, it need not be a quanta of radiations absorbed by every molecule, but a small amount of light or radiations absorbed can bring about a large amount of product, or large number of reactants can be converted into product. Second, a large amount of light absorbed bring about only a small amount of reaction or chain. In a photochemical reaction, sometimes a large amount of light will be absorbed, but the change will be very small. Means only a small amount of reactants will be converted into product. So in these two cases, the yield is not equal to 1 or 100%. It is either less than 1 or less than 100%, or it is more than 1 or more than 100%. In first case, because small amount of light is absorbed and the change is large, therefore naturally the yield will be high, or its efficiency will be high, or it is more than 1 or more than 100%. Whereas in the second case, because large amount of light is or radiations are absorbed, to bring a small change, or we can say the yield is not equal to 1 or not equal to 100%. So it is less here in this case. So there may be three different cases. In one, the yield may be 1 or 100%. In the second, it is more than 1 or 100%. And in third case, it is less than. So to understand, we have to understand the process of photochemical reaction or photochemical process. We have to understand in this way. This anomaly was explained on the basis of the fact that a photochemical reaction consists of two processes. Means we are dividing the photochemical process or photochemical reaction in two. One is called primary process, the other one is called secondary process. And we can say that the law, Einstein's law of photochemical equivalence, apply only to the primary process or first stage and not to the secondary process or second stage. So number one is primary process. Absorption of a photon by a molecule leads to the formation of an activated molecule. In what is the primary process? Formation of an activated molecule is called primary process, and formation of activated molecule is due to the absorption of a light or radiation of a photon, of one photon by one molecule. Okay, means when the light is supplied or radiations are supplied to the reactants, molecules of reactant will absorb that light or radiation, and each molecule will absorb one photon, and in turn they form the activated molecule. This activated molecule may be converted into product or sometimes may not. So the formation of an activated molecule neither means that the reaction will necessarily take place, nor it means that only one molecule will react. The formation of an activated molecule neither means that the reaction will necessarily take place. Means sometimes the energy will be absorbed by the molecule, but the molecule after formation of activated molecule may produce the product or sometimes may not produce the product. Okay, it means that only one molecule will react. In short, activated molecule formed by the absorption of a photon by a molecule may or may not react. Okay, and that will happen in the first stage, or it is called primary process. And in secondary process, what is secondary process? The activated molecule formed during the primary process may undergo either of the following changes, because every molecule in primary stage, primary process, which is forming the activated complex, may or may not be producing the product or converting itself into product. Therefore, there may be following types of changes to complete the reaction. First is, it may react to form final product. First, let us suppose that the molecule first absorb the light and form the activated molecule, and that activated molecule will form the product. It's over. Or in second case, it may be partly or completely deactivated, and thus no further reaction takes place. The activated complex form may not be converted into product, so no further reaction will occur. Third, it may cause the reaction of many molecules through a chain mechanism, or there is a possibility that it may cause the reaction of many molecules through a chain reaction. So it is important to note that secondary process may take place in dark, provided the product of primary reactions are available. Means the absorption of light is limited only to the primary process, and even if light is not present or light even in darkness, the secondary process may take place. But the condition is that the product, that means activated complex formed in the primary process, should be available. So we can say that the light in photochemical reactions or photochemical processes is generally absorbed in primary process. It is necessary for primary process to occur, whereas the secondary process can even take place in dark. But the condition is that provided the product of primary reactions are available. And what are the product of primary reaction? It is nothing but the formation of activated molecules. Light radiations light radiations are essential only for primary process. Means light are the radiations. Maybe it is in the form of UV radiations or in the form of visible radiations are essential only for primary process. The law of photochemical equivalence is applicable only to primary process. Hence, we can say that the law of photochemical equivalence given by Einstein is applicable only to primary process. However, secondary reaction or secondary process or some other complicated processes usually mark the primary process. With the result, the law does not seem to be always obeyed. For secondary processes, the law may not be obeyed, but in primary process, the law will be obeyed. So the relation between the number of quanta absorbed with the number of reacting molecules is usually expressed by the term quantum efficiency or quantum yield, and it is denoted by phi. The relation between the number of quanta absorbed with the number of reacting molecules is usually expressed by the term quantum efficiency or quantum yield, and quantum yield or quantum efficiency is denoted by phi. It is the Greek letter. It is given by the formula. That means the formula of phi or quantum yield is as follows. Phi is equal to number of molecules reacting in a given time by number of quanta absorbed in the same time. That means phi or quantum yield is the ratio between the number of molecules reacting in a given time to that of number of quanta absorbed in the same time. If you take a duration of time, in that it is the ratio of number of molecules reacting to that of number of quanta of radiations absorbed, or it is also equal to number of moles reacting in a given time to number of Einsteins absorbed in the same time. Here we are taking number of molecules and number of quanta. This can be expressed in the in terms of moles. 1 mole will have 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 number of molecules, and that is also called as Avogadro number. And if those many molecules are there in a given quantity of matter or material or substance, it is called a mole, 1 mole. And 1 Einstein, it is nothing but 1 mole of quanta or photons absorbed. In terms of moles of product formed, if we consider the product formed also in terms of moles, then phi is equal to number of moles of product formed in a given time by number of Einsteins absorbed in a given time. The first one was about reactants. We have taken this in terms of reactants. Now, in second case, it is in terms of product. So, phi or quantum yield or quantum efficiency is the ratio of number of moles of product formed in a given time to the number of Einsteins absorbed in a given time. Hence, quantum efficiency may be defined as the ratio of number of moles undergoing a reaction to the number of Einsteins absorbed in the same time. Or it may also be defined as the number of moles reacting per Einstein of the light absorbed. Now, if this law is strictly obeyed, then the efficiency should be 1. That means if this law is strictly obeyed, then the quantum yield or quantum efficiency should be equal to 1. And if it is the case then this is called normal quantum yield. That means the number of molecules reacted by number of photons absorbed is equal to 1, then the quantum yield phi is equal to 1, and this is generally called as normal quantum yield. Since the law is applicable only to primary process, that is, the quantum yield of 1 is given only by primary photochemical processes. Hence, this law can also be defined as, in the primary photochemical processes, each molecule is activated by the absorption of one photon. So, we are applying the Einstein's law of photochemical processes or reaction in primary process or for primary process. So, when we apply this to primary process, we can say that in the primary photochemical processes, each molecule is activated by the absorption of one photon. Now, this was about the normal quantum yield, where phi was equal to 1. But sometimes phi can be less than 1, or sometimes it may be greater than 1 as discussed earlier in this lesson. So, if these are the cases, then we call it as abnormal quantum yield or abnormal quantum efficiency. So now let us discuss about abnormal quantum yield. As I told you, in this case, either phi, that is quantum efficiency, will be less than 1 or it may be greater than 1. Then it is called abnormal quantum yield. Now, there are few reactions in which we can see either phi is less than 1 or phi is equal to 1 or phi is greater than 1. Means now we will discuss 3 different cases. First, let us take few examples of reactions in which phi is less than 1. Means it is abnormal quantum yield. It is the case or examples of abnormal quantum yield in which phi is less than 1. For example, in the reaction of hydrogen, in the combination of hydrogen and bromine, which produces hydrogen bromide, or reaction between hydrogen and bromide to give hydrogen bromide, where the wavelength of the incident radiations or light is 5100 angstrom, the quantum yield is 0.01, means quantum yield is very, very less. It is 1 by 100. 1 by 100 or 0.01, the value of phi. So, it is an example of abnormal yield, which is less than 1. Similarly, in the case of dissociation of or decomposition of ammonia, in decomposition of ammonia into nitrogen and hydrogen, where the incident wave will have wavelength of 2000 angstrom, the quantum yield is 0.25, which is 1 by 4. Okay. Whereas here in CH3CHO will give you CO plus methane. The wavelength of the incident radiations used is 3100 angstrom, and the quantum yield is 1 by 2 or 0.5. In decomposition of hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen, the wavelength used is 3100 angstrom, and the quantum yield is again less than 1, that is 0.7. Similar is the case with this reaction. 2NO2 gives rise to 2NO plus O2, where the wavelength is 4050 angstrom. Now, the reaction in which the quantum yield is either 1 or greater than 1, but it is still nearly equal to 1 or it is near to 1. For example, in the reaction where CH3COOCH3 gives ethane and carbon monoxide, the wavelength is between 2500 to 3100 angstrom. The quantum yield is 1. And for the combination of sulfur dioxide and chlorine to give SO2Cl2, the quantum yield is again 1, where the wavelength of the incident radiations used is 4200 angstrom. Whereas in the case of H2S decomposition to hydrogen and sulfur, it is the wavelength is 2080 and the quantum yield is again equal to 1. So all these three cases where quantum yield is 1 or phi is equal to 1 is nothing but the examples of normal quantum yield. These two examples are also having quantum yield nearly equal to 1, but it is still high, where for decomposition of hydrogen bromide into hydrogen and bromine, it is 2, and for conversion of oxygen into ozone, it is 3. Now we will take again abnormal quantum yield. Examples for abnormal quantum yield, but here the quantum yield is very high. It is very, very high. It is about 1000 times, or 1000 phi is equal to 1000, and for this it is 1 million. So we have two examples here where quantum yield or quantum efficiency of the reaction is abnormal. First, CO plus Cl2 give you CoCl2. Here, the wavelength of incident light used is about 4000 angstrom, and the quantum yield is 1000, or phi is equal to 1000. And for the second example, where H2 plus Cl2 gives you 2HCl, again, the wavelength is 4000 angstrom, and the quantum yield is still much higher. It is 10 to the power 6 or 10 lakhs or 1 million. So these are the examples in which we have discussed both normal quantum yield and abnormal quantum yield. So the higher yield is due to the fact that one quantum of radiation brings about transformation of more than one molecule of the reactants. The higher quantum yield will give us an idea that even a small absorption of small radiations or light can produce a big amount of product, or it can bring a big change. So the higher yield is due to the fact that one quantum of radiation brings about transformation of more than one molecule. It may be 3 molecules or 2 molecules, or sometimes 1000 molecules, as we discussed earlier in examples. So this is generally happens for reactions where secondary process like free radical and recombination reactions are possible. So in the case of free radical reaction, where the free radicals are involved or combination of reactants are involved, then this is possible. Here, the photochemically activated molecule initiates a chain of reaction. So after formation of activated molecule, that activated molecule which is formed in primary process can initiate a chain of reactions. With the result, several molecules undergo the reaction, although only one quantum of light is absorbed. So this chain will give you a big amount of product, or it increases the quantum yield or quantum efficiency of the reactions. and which ultimately lead to high quantum yield. And we have another case in abnormal quantum yield. We discuss now higher quantum yield or high quantum yield or high quantum efficiency. Now we will discuss about the low quantum yield, and it is due to three things. First is deactivation of photochemically excited molecules before they react. Before the activated molecule which is formed during the primary process convert itself into the product, okay, it can deactivate itself. Now the second may be insufficiency of absorbed quantum to activate some of the reacting molecules. As we know, sometimes or in most of the cases, the activated molecule must possess sufficient amount of energy, generally called as activation energy, so that it is converted into product. Otherwise, it will deactivate itself, or it may go back to the reactant form, or it may form reactants again from the activated molecule. Again, reacting molecule will form. Third case, recombination of some of the dissociated fragments of the excited molecule to give back the original molecule. Sometimes what happens after formation of the fragments from the activated molecule, these fragments again can combine and give back to the original molecule. So no product will form. As a result, the quantum efficiency or quantum yield will be low, or it will be less than 1. Actually, law of photochemical equivalence as applied to complete reactions, primary and secondary process, is strictly true only in the case of few reactions. Means law of photochemical reaction equivalence given by Einstein is followed or obeyed by very few reactions. Thus, according to quantum yield, photochemical reactions may be classified into following 3 categories. So on the basis of this, we can divide the photochemical reactions into 3 classes. 1, those reactions in which quantum yield is simple integer. For example, it may be R phi is equal to 1, R phi is equal to 2, R phi is equal to 3, etc. Means where quantum yield is normal, but it is not very high. It may be equal to an integer like 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, as we discussed in different examples where quantum yield is normal. We discuss an example where quantum yield phi was equal to 1, and we discuss one example where phi was 2, and similarly phi was 3. So one of such example is dissociation of hydrogen iodide into hydrogen and iodine. Similarly, hydrogen bromide when dissociate or decomposes to hydrogen and bromine. Similarly, ozonization and combination of SO2 and Cl2 these are the common examples of this type. Means all these examples, decomposition of hydrogen iodide, hydrogen bromide, ozonization of oxygen, combination of SO2, Cl2, etc. are the common examples of this type. Means with normal quantum yield or quantum efficiency, or phi may be equal to 1 or 2 or 3. Another one or another class of photochemical reactions are those reactions in which quantum yield is extremely low, very, very low, as we have discussed, 0.01 or 0.25, etc. So, for example, dissociation of ammonia and NO2, where the quantum yield is low. Similarly, acetone vapors are common. These are examples of those photochemical reactions where quantum yield is low. And third type, those reactions in which quantum yield is extremely high. For example, combination of hydrogen and chlorine to give HCl and CO and Cl2 are common examples of this type. So here we have high or very high quantum yield in this type of reactions. So we can divide the photochemical reactions into three types or classes. One, with normal quantum yield or quantum efficiency where phi is equal to 1, or it may be 2, or it may be 3. And the other is abnormal cases where the quantum yield is abnormal. In that, again, we have two categories, one with low quantum yield, that is phi is less than 1, and the other category of that type is high quantum yield, where the quantum efficiency or quantum yield, that is phi, is extremely high. As we discussed in two cases, it was about 10 to the power 3 and 10 to the power 6. So with this, we will conclude today's session. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all. Next class, we will deal how can we find or determine the quantum efficiency experimentally. So please watch the next class in which we will discuss determination of quantum yield experimentally. Thank you. Thank you for watching.